The moment I paid for that old alien's travel ticket, his eyes widened in terror. 5 seconds later, the sky ripped open. 3 elite warships dropped out of hyperspace, aiming their cannons directly at me, and the old alien whispered, "You just signed your death warrant because they're hunting me, and now you." If I'm being honest, that morning was already going badly long before the universe decided to flip me upside down. The Galactic Transit Hub was buzzing louder than a swarm of malfunctioning repair drones. And I was running on 3 hours of sleep and 1 cup of instant synth coffee that tasted like heated sadness. I just wanted to buy my ticket, grab a quiet seat, and pretend my life was normal for at least 10 minutes. But normal isn't something the galaxy likes to give me. I was standing in a painfully slow ticket line, watching a robot argue with a lizard man over emotional support insects, when I noticed him, an old alien, hunched over the payment console. His hands shook as he slid an outdated currency chip into the slot again and again. Each time, the machine spat it out with a rude beep, as if personally offended. The old alien muttered something about systems being too modern. The security droids chuckled, one of them announcing, "Outdated payment detected. Please upgrade your centuries-old life." Real classy. People behind him groaned. Someone yelled for him to hurry. Someone else suggested he go beg outside. I hate crowds like that. Loud voices, no patience, everyone pretending not to care while caring just enough to be annoyed. Before I realized it, my feet were already moving. "Hey," I said, tapping the droid's panel. "Put his fare on my ticket." The old alien lifted his head slowly. His eyes, faded, but strangely alert, studied me like I'd done something heroic instead of something mildly inconvenient. "You would do that?" "It's just a ticket," I replied, shrugging. "We've all been broke before." The moment my payment went through, something shifted. The air vibrated faintly. The console lights flickered. Even the droids froze mid-motion like someone had pressed pause on them. The old alien's gaze sharpened. Not grateful, not surprised. Something else. Fear, maybe. "You shouldn't have done that," he whispered. I opened my mouth to ask why, but the station trembled as a low-frequency hum rolled across the sky. Conversation stopped. Screens glitched. Every creature, human, alien, or robot, turned upward in the same instant. Above the station, space itself tore apart. 3 colossal warships emerged from a glowing rupture, descending silently like executioners. Their targeting lasers locked onto 2 people, the old alien and me. He leaned close, voice trembling. "They found me, and now they found you." For a full second, I couldn't move. Not because of the warships hovering above us like silent predators, but because everyone else had already dropped to the floor. Everyone except me and the old alien. Apparently, when 3 elite sovereignty warships lock their cannons on you, your brain politely takes a vacation. The old alien tugged my sleeve with surprising strength. "Move! Now!" Before I could protest, he pulled me into motion. The station's alarm blared to life, drowning out every other sound. Steel shutters dropped over the main exits with loud thuds, sealing the crowd inside. People screamed. Robots scrambled. Vendors were still trying to protect their merchandise. One guy even covered his space fruit stand with his own body like it was his firstborn child. "Why are they aiming at me?" I shouted as we ran. "They're not," he said breathlessly. "They're aiming at me. You just happen to attach your identity to mine." "Well, that's fantastic," I muttered. "I buy one ticket and suddenly I'm part of a galactic manhunt. Should have stayed home." He shoved open a maintenance hatch, almost knocking me into a stack of cleaning bots. They beeped angrily. Offended someone dared interrupt their scheduled polishing routine. We stumbled into a narrow tunnel that smelled like burned circuits and cheap instant noodles, a true sign of budget infrastructure. The tunnel lights flickered. The hum from the warships vibrated through the walls like distant thunder. I tried to keep up with him, but he moved like someone half his age, his steps sharp, purposeful. "You need to tell me what's happening," I said between breaths. "Right now." He paused at a junction, checking for patrol drones before speaking. "Your payment created a legal link between us, a witness travel bond. It means the sovereignty cannot eliminate me without eliminating you first, and that would expose them." "Expose them for what?" He hesitated, his eyes dimming with a grief that looked old, ancient even, for crimes they've hidden for decades. I carry something they cannot let escape. Okay, great, I said, hands on my knees, trying not to panic. So I accidentally became your, what? Accomplice? Intern? Hostage? Witness, he corrected. A protected one. If we reach the inner system terminal, we have a chance to survive. Before I could respond, a deafening crash erupted behind us. Metal screeched as armored sovereignty agents forced their way into the tunnel. The old alien's voice dropped to a whisper. They're here, run! And just like that, my quiet morning turned into a sprint for my life. We burst into an old service shaft just as the agents flooded the corridor behind us. Blaster fire sparked against the metal walls, lighting up the tunnel like malfunctioning fireworks. The old alien shoved me toward a circular hatch. In there, he said. I crawled inside expecting a dead end. Instead, gravity tilted, and suddenly we were sliding downward at alarming speed. The shaft wasn't a tunnel. It was a maintenance transport chute. My stomach tried to escape through my throat as we shot into the darkness. We finally landed in an underground cargo bay, both of us groaning like we'd aged 50 years in 10 seconds. I pushed myself upright, brushing dust off my jacket. Okay, I panted. You're going to explain. No riddles, no cryptic warnings. Just talk. He sat down slowly, leaning against a crate. For the first time since I met him, he looked truly tired, as if decades of running had finally caught up. My name is Arkell, he began softly. I once worked for the Sovereignty. I was a researcher, designing communication networks and archival systems. He paused, eyes distant. One day I discovered files I was never meant to see, documents detailing the Sovereignty's hidden operations. Entire colonies erased from maps, leaders replaced, species manipulated into wars that never needed to happen. I swallowed hard. And you stole proof. Yes, evidence strong enough to topple their throne, but the moment they realized what I had taken, they targeted everyone connected to me. His voice cracked ever so slightly. My family was taken, my home leveled. I survived only because I ran fast enough. The weight of his story pressed against my chest. I had expected something dangerous, but not this level of darkness. But what does this have to do with me? I asked quietly. Why did helping with your ticket drag me into all this? Arkell raised a trembling hand. Travel law. Outdated, but still binding. Anyone who sponsors a traveler becomes an official witness to their journey. That link creates legal protection the Sovereignty cannot ignore. To kill me now means killing you, and that would trigger an investigation they cannot afford. So I'm not just unlucky, I murmured. I'm leverage. You're essential, Arkell corrected. You are the only thing preventing my immediate execution. I sat beside him trying to absorb it all. My heart raced, but oddly, I didn't want to leave him. There was something unbearably human about his fear, his guilt, his hope. He looked at me with quiet desperation. I'm dying, human. I don't have much time left. Help me reach the terminal. Once I deliver the truth, you'll be free. Before I could answer, distant footsteps echoed through the cargo bay. The Sovereignty was closing in. We slipped out of the cargo bay through a maintenance vent, but the sounds of boots and metal clashing echoed closer. Arkell leaned heavily on the wall, his breath coming in shallow bursts. Whatever illness he carried was catching up fast. We need to move, I whispered. I know, he answered, though his voice no longer carried its earlier strength. We turned into a dim walkway lined with old power cables, barely illuminated by flickering strips of blue light, when a metallic click froze us in place. A blaster was pressed against my back. Hands up, slow and polite, a woman's voice said behind me. Smooth, annoyed, and extremely confident, I raised my hands. Arkell did the same, wincing. She stepped into sight, tall, sharp-eyed, armored in sleek black gear with glowing teal markings. A bounty hunter. One look told me she was good at her job. Too good. You two caused quite a mess upstairs, she said, twirling her blaster like she was bored. Sovereignty troops are offering a generous reward for you, old man, and an even better one for the idiot who bonded himself to you. I cleared my throat. In my defense, I was just trying to be a decent human. She smirked. Well, congratulations. Your decency is worth about 18 million credits. Arkell didn't look afraid, just resigned. If you take us back, they'll kill us both. I know, she replied calmly, but they'll pay me first. Then something unexpected happened. Arkell reached into his robe slowly, so slow even the bounty hunter didn't shoot, and pulled out a small device. He pressed a button, and the walkway lit up with swirling holographic images. Destroyed colonies, forged treaties, hidden executions, maps stained with red markers. The evidence he had been protecting. The bounty hunter's smirk faded. She stepped closer, eyes scanning the projections. Shock replaced arrogance. They did all this, she whispered. And more, Arkell said softly. The sovereignty doesn't pay its traitors. They silence them. That hit her harder than she expected. Her jaw tightened. Her grip on the blaster loosened. So if I turn you in, she murmured, I'm next. Arkell nodded once. You know how they operate. Silence filled the walkway. I held my breath, waiting. Then she holstered her blaster with a frustrated sigh. Fine, I'm in. But if either of you slows me down, I'm leaving you behind. Fair enough, I said quickly. Honestly, that's the nicest thing anyone's told me today. She rolled her eyes and jerked her thumb down the corridor. We're heading to the hyperlane control tower. It's the only place you can broadcast that data before the sovereignty shuts the entire station down. The station shook violently as explosions boomed overhead. They're already breaching the upper decks, she warned. Arkell steadied himself, determination returning to his eyes. Then we move now, he said, and our uneasy alliance began with the galaxy collapsing around us. The climb to the hyperlane control tower felt endless. Every hallway shook under the force of explosions as the sovereignty tore through the station, layer by layer. The bounty hunter, whose name I still didn't know, moved ahead with confident precision, cutting down drones and overriding doors like she'd lived her entire life breaking into high-security facilities. Arkell lagged behind more with every step. His breathing had turned into a thin rasp, his hands trembling as he clutched the data device against his chest. I stayed close to keep him steady. Just a little further, I said, though I wasn't sure if the reassurance was for him or myself. When we reached the tower, the entrance was blocked by two sovereignty soldiers. The bounty hunter didn't hesitate. She slid under their line of fire, knocked one out cold with the butt of her blaster, and shot the other's weapon clean out of his hands. I'd never been so grateful to be on the same side as someone. Inside, the tower was chaos. Screens blinking, sirens wailing, sparks raining from damaged consoles. But the central transmitter remained intact, humming faintly like it was waiting for us. Arkell moved toward it with the slow confidence of a man who knew this moment had been chasing him for a lifetime. Help me connect it, he whispered. I guided his shaking hands as he inserted the data core into the transmission slot. The system resisted for a moment, then the screens flared to life. Files, images, recordings. Everything he had risked everything for spilled across the tower in a cascade of truth. But the sovereignty wasn't giving up. The warships outside redirected power toward the tower, overloading the grid. Sparks flew. The floor vibrated violently. Hurry! The bounty hunter shouted. Arkell steadied himself and slammed the final command. Broadcast everywhere, unfiltered. A surge of light flashed through the tower as the truth shot into the hyperlane network. Irreversible, undeniable, unstoppable. The overload knocked us off our feet. When I scrambled up, the screens showed star systems lighting up one by one as the message reached them. It had worked. But Arkell lay collapsed near the console, his breathing faint. I knelt beside him, gripping his hand. You did it, I said softly. He smiled weakly. No, we did. His eyes softened, filled with a quiet peace I hadn't seen before. Thank you for giving an old fugitive his last chance. His hand relaxed in mine. The bounty hunter lowered her head respectfully. He saved worlds, she murmured. Outside, sovereignty warships retreated as outrage rippled across the galaxy. Protests erupted on public channels. Leaders demanded answers. Their empire was crumbling in real time. I exhaled shakily, unsure what came next, until the bounty hunter nudged a small object into my hand. A data chip Arkell had hidden in his robe. He wanted you to have it, she said. Looks important. The chip glowed faintly. Coordinates to a star system I'd never heard of. Arkell had finished his journey. But mine was just beginning. And that's how a simple act of kindness threw me into a war I never wanted and opened a door I never knew existed. Arkell's truth shattered an empire, but the coordinates he left behind? That's a mystery waiting for me on the other side of the stars. If you want to subsave what happens next, stay with me. My journey is far from over.